Hi there, welcome to the tutorial for the Chunky DIY Valentine project. I'm just showing you here the different materials that I use. The padding that I have underneath my projects is actually like the puppy training pads. I got mine at the dollar store. They're super cheap. I reuse mine over and over again, as you can see. If you don't have any of those, just paper towels works great. So your kit will come with the pieces as shown here. I prime the chunky part for you just because it takes a few layers of paint. You don't need to keep it white. There's plenty of paint included in your kit that you can repaint that back if you want to, but just to show you that it is white front and back. And once you see it put together, it actually makes quite a nice it gives it a pop of color. So in your kit you will get a whole bunch of different colors. For this tutorial I'm using the red, and then I prefer painting with a sponge. I think it's easy to paint and not have the paint slop over the side. So with your paint that's included and also your plates that are included, I'm showing you how it's easy to just kind of dab some on. You want it wet, but you don't want it goopy. So if it gets too goopy, just kind of tap it off a little bit on your plate. Kind of want it the wetness of like an ink pad, but for the case of doing something really large like that, it works good if you do have kind of a blob of paint on there just to spread it around a little bit. So as I'm tapping, I'm not pressing very hard, because if you press hard, that's when the paint starts to squish, and it can actually squish over the sides and get kind of messy. So I'm just giving it a real light pressure. You want to do, well, for the case of like red, it's going to take several layers. So just do light layers and just tap it all over the place, not pressing very hard so it's not squishing over the sides. And you don't have to paint the whole thing. I am here just for the sake of this tutorial. You'll see when you, especially on the heart, it's going to cover a lot of that middle, so you really don't need to paint the middle part. Also, you can kind of lay your blank pieces out first to see exactly where the paint's going to go. And if you don't want to paint it solid, I mean, paint the L one color, paint the V one color, it's up to you, completely your creative control. I've included some cotton swabs so that when the paint gets kind of down to the bottom of those containers, just scoop it out. I kind of give it a gentle roll onto the plate, just so it can kind of get off there. Because there's a lot of paint. It seems like there's not very much paint, but that paint goes a long ways. So like I said, for the sake of red, you actually do need to do a few layers to get kind of that really great color. And this is a bit of a darker red. Once it dries, it's a little bit darker. So here I've finished it. That's actually 3 layers of red. So that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of coverage you can do. Other colors, you can get by with doing like 2 layers. It's just up to you. So I give you several different sponges, but I don't give you one sponge for each color, so because you can keep reusing them. So just clip off the end, and there you go. You have a clean sponge for another color. Especially for the letters, if you're using one color for each letter, you're really not going to use these sponges very long. So you see the letters so small, you really don't need to use a whole sponge for just one little color. And also too, if you're using for something small, I actually will cut it on the other direction, or just cut off like a slice, and then use the tip of the sponge for really fine detail work. So I've sped the video up just so you don't want to watch me paint every single color, and you'll just see how I just kind of go one by one. And I have several different sponge pieces there just to show you that you can chop those sponges into little pieces. I didn't cover all of the center of that heart because it's going to get covered up by the peach part. So there's a couple different layers. Like I said, I did like 2 layers of each of the color, except for the red love background I did 3. So here are, with the glue, same thing, cut off a fresh sponge and just use the glue, dab it on. That way it doesn't get all squishy. I do include paintbrushes in the kit just in case you prefer the paintbrush. I will give you a lot of glue. I just didn't have the glue in my little containers for the sake of this tutorial, but you will get a very large container of glue so you won't run out, especially with putting that back piece on. So you want the back tacky but not oozy, and just kind of line it up and press it on. Just kind of hold it in place for a second. This is Gorilla Wood Glue and it dries pretty quickly. It actually will set pretty fast too, so you don't need to hold it on forever. You do want to try and make sure that it doesn't ooze too much out the side, especially if you're gluing onto something white, because it does not dry clear. It actually will dry kind of yellow. So that's why you want to get the back tacky. If you want to seal it, just do a little Mod Podge. I got that Mod Podge at the dollar store. Sometimes I seal stuff, sometimes I don't. So I do not include sealer. It's up to you if you want to do a sealer. I'm using tweezers there because a little piece of cat hair that floated down. Tweezers are very handy in case you have pets, just to pick off the hair that floats through the air. And then you just kind of go through and glue all the pieces back on. It's pretty self-explanatory. So like back to sealer, I use Mod Podge sometimes if I'm doing a small project. Like I said, I get a little bottle at the dollar store. It goes so far. I've had that little bottle forever. If I'm doing a large project, I use Rust-Oleum two times sealer, the 2X. And I actually like matte sealer. Even though it's matte, it actually does still have a little bit of a sheen to it. So I just don't like something like super glossy, so that's why I use the matte sealer. If you ever buy anything from me, it's been sealed with a matte sealer, and you can tell it has a little bit of a shine to it, but not like super shiny. So then the little February 14th goes in the middle. So now it's all glued off, or glued up, I'm sorry. Now, if you want to add the decorative dots, it's totally up to you. I like them. I think it kind of adds a little polish. The paintbrush that you are given with your kit, it's a great dot maker. So just dab a little bit in the paint, and then wherever you want to. What I do is I do a series of 3 dots, because as the 3 dots goes down, they get smaller. So you actually kind of have this little, big, medium, and large, or small, medium, and large dot. But I do it so it's like going downward. And you just go wherever you want the little dots, just little accent pieces. I mean, you can use wherever I put mine. It's not a big deal, or put them wherever you feel like. It's totally your creativity. And I just kind of put a few wherever I feel like it. So the more times you tap the brush, the smaller your dots will get. So I'm just adding a few little highlights here and there. I typically go like the top corner and then maybe a bottom corner, something round. I kind of do like around the curve. I just kind of alternate it so it's spaced out all over the place. Sometimes I'll do horizontal ones, sometimes I'll do vertical. It's kind of wherever it feels good, wherever you think it looks great. And then just kind of finish it up. I recommend letting it dry about an hour before you try and stand it up, and I mean, it will be dry probably in about 20 minutes, but as far as like letting it stand and put it on your shelf, give it a good hour before you set it out for decoration. That way the paint and the glue is all set, but these paints will dry pretty quick, and like I said, the glue does dry pretty quick too. And we're just kind of adding a couple dots there, here and there. So you will have enough paint. You can mix and match. You don't have to follow my exact color tutorial, but just a little example for you. And there you go. I hope you enjoy. Happy Valentine's Day.